The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate podcast again. I'm Luis, your host, and today we have a very special guest. We have Trevor Bigg, who's one of the top realtors in Canada, in British Columbia, and he's going to let us know his story and how he has done 250 sales, 250 transactions within the last 5 years. So that is an average of 50 transactions per year, and it is like 5 times more than the average realtor in North America. So how are you today, Trevor?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
That is great. Can you start just telling us about your story? How did you get into this real estate market?
Yeah, absolutely. I started in the polar opposite. I was diamond drilling out of the mountains of Hyder, Alaska, in like a remote camp for 4 weeks at a time, and then I'd come home for a week. And but during that time, I was studying for my real estate exam, and ended up passing. I got my real estate license in 2019. Dove in headfirst with an independent brokerage. Did the first 2 years there, and then branched out to EXP Realty in 2021. And since then, have been able to achieve icon status every year since.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And well, how has it been the market in British Columbia changing for the last 5 years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think if you've been an agent over the past 5 years, you've seen a little bit of everything. I mean, we've had interest rates go super low and prices go dramatically high. We've had interest rates come high and prices dip a bit. We've had the pandemic thrown in there where we weren't even allowed to show houses. So, I mean, over the past 5 years, I think new agents and experienced agents, it doesn't really matter. You've been kind of thrown curveballs from every direction. And so it doesn't really matter your level of experience at that point. It's your ability to adapt, because that's what's going on in the market right now.
Understood. Can you share a memorable success story from your career that is resonating for you?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually in the middle of one of my bigger success stories right
All
now.
right.
I have one of the top listings in Williams Lake right now. We're listed at an 8,800 square foot home, listed at $2.35 million.
Wow.
I was able to connect with a investor based out of Quebec City, actually. That was one of my EXP connections. We connected with a buyer who just bought our local Canadian Tire, and who's looking at investing in Williams Lake. So I was able to connect with him out of Quebec City. He flew in from Quebec to Williams Lake. We looked at 5 different homes where he ended up purchasing the $2.35 million home that I had listed there.
Wow.
So that went down as one of my biggest sales in my career thus far. So right smack dab in the middle of my big success story here.
All right. Are you specializing more into condos, single family homes?
More single family homes. We do a lot of acreages even, because that's kind of conducive to my location. We've got a lot of large acreages, so a lot of farms. I'm talking like 100 plus acres kind of deal. That, or we have a lot of residential around. But like I said, for where I'm located, we deal with a lot of the larger properties, and that's been very successful for us.
Okay. And what are some of the key factors that are influencing a property value in British Columbia?
Key factors in what, sorry?
Key factors that are influencing into property value.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't speak for British Columbia as a whole, but I can speak for my marketplace, absolutely. And I can say that you look at other municipalities, and as the market did, one of these, the interest rates went up, and buyers got a little bit scared, and sales started, coming down a little bit. Our market didn't really do that. And the Williams Lake market itself is fueled by lower mainland buyers coming up. So we've got a heavy market of people moving into town. And the pandemic almost supercharged that. When everybody got the tools to work from home, it turned a local market into more of a provincial market, and people didn't have to stay where they were originally located. So we've seen a lot of provincial moving going on, and we had a lot of lower mainland people, Vancouver, Chilliwack, Surrey, a lot of those guys moving into the area, and so that's kept our local market fueled pretty heavily. I mean, we've had low inventory and high demand for the past, I'd say probably 24 months.
Wow.
So it's stayed pretty steady. Things are leveling out now, which is nice to see, but it's still a pretty dramatic market that we've seen here in Williams Lake.
That's why you're doing a lot of transactions, right?
But staying busy, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. And how do you stay updated with the changes in your local real estate market?
There's lots of different ways that we stay updated with the changes. I lean heavily into the resources that we have at eXp Realty. Within eXp, there's hours and hours of training courses, and I connect a lot with other top agents in other municipalities. I
Okay.
try my best. I mean, there's three separate meetings that I join weekly that keeps me up to date on not only emerging technologies but also the different changes in rules and regulations. And I think that's really important because staying on top of the curve, staying ahead of the curve, sorry, is the only way to really stay ahead in today's day and age. There's such an influx of information right now with AI and all of the online courses and everything that you can find. The information out there is almost unlimited, right? So it's no longer the lack of information that's holding people back. It's now the lack of implementation, and I think that's a big one. Lots of people need almost less information and more implementation.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. And what strategies do you use to help a first-time home buyer in British Columbia to find their ideal property?
I think if you're a first-time home buyer looking in British Columbia, there's a lot of things, a lot of factors that go into it. But I think specifically for buyers, anyways, you want to be more of an advocate for the location rather than just the home. Many first-time home buyers don't necessarily have the budget to buy their forever home. You know what I mean? They're not buying a $3 million home where they don't have to, it's move-in ready and all the furnishings come with it. That's not a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyer is going to be buying a home maybe in a location that's not $1 million location, or maybe a home that needs a little bit of work. So I think one, it's really important to understand the location that you're selling. What's important about the location, the school districts, do they own dogs? Is there dog walking nearby? How close is it to work? What proximity do they need to be around? Really sell the location because interior wise, the home itself can be changed dramatically. You know what I mean? Renos can come into play, and a lot to do with the home, the cosmetics, the little things, all of that can be changed and adjusted, and renos can happen. And many of those times, renos end up, dramatically influencing the resale value of the home, which is fantastic for a first-time home buyer. It's exactly what you want to do is buy low, fix it up, and then sell high, and then that capital gets put into your next purchase. But I think the location is the number one thing to take into consideration because that's what they're really buying into is the location. What's important to them and why is that location perfect?
Okay, I understand very well. And is your brokerage providing you any sort of technology or CRM so you can have more control into your prospects?
Yeah, so I personally preach heavily with KV Core. I'm not going to lie, it took me a little bit to kind of wrap my head around it. I almost didn't use it for the first year with EXP just because I was almost intimidated with the technology. It seemed a little bit overwhelming, but I strongly suggest that you take the time to hone in on that and learn those skills because my goodness, it is an incredible tool. Especially when you start getting busy. It is impossible to think that you can sit down with a notepad and a pen and a paper and remember everybody's names and contact everybody and have this ultimate list written down somewhere that reminds you of all the things you have to do. It's not possible. Especially if you're trying to sell 100 plus homes a year, you're not going to be able to do it like that. So you've got to have a CRM in place that picks up a lot of that back end work. And for me, KV Core has been the one
That
EXP
has been
just gives
helping.
it to you for free. So it's hard to, you can't beat the price. And for two, it's very intuitive. I've got it set up where it's emailing all of my clients on their birthdays and on their house
Oh,
anniversaries. And
really?
it's reminding me, who needs to be brought up this week? Who do I need to talk to next week? Who haven't I talked to in like 3 or 4 days that I should probably touch base with? It's that constant reminder that people no longer slip through the cracks.
Wow, wow, that is an amazing CRM actually.
It is. It's impressive. I believe it's a little bit pricey if you're not with EXP. I think it's maybe $500 or $600 a month, but
Wow,
it's an incredible tool.
that is just amazing. The next question would be, what advice do you have for an investor looking to enter the British Columbia real estate market?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I deal with a lot of investors. Specifically, like I said, if you look on a map, our price point is a little bit lower than a lot of other price points. We've got a pretty attractive price range here within Williams Lake, which obviously attracts a lot of investors from other municipalities. So we have a lot of investors from, Vancouver or from Victoria or from Chilliwack who are looking at investing in Williams Lake just simply as an investment property. And at that sense, I think that you need to look at one, again, location is a big one, because that's going to dictate the kind of tenants that you're going to be able to attract.
Yeah.
Two, what's your ROI? What's your return on investment? So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to buy a $700,000 home if there's no basement suite in it. You know what I mean? If you're only going to be able to rent it to one family, it's the return on investment might not be there. Whereas if you're buying a home that has, a 3 bedrooms up, 2 bedrooms down, and a basement suite and everything, you can kind of start to make the numbers make sense. And I think at that point, really understanding what your goal is as far as ROI would be the biggest key factor in investing here.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing. And what is the next step for your career? I mean, what are your goals for the rest of the year and 2025?
Yeah, so I'm a couple transactions away from iconing this year, which is fantastic.
Wow.
My goal is I should be able to achieve another 25 transactions before the end of the year, which I've got, I mean, me, myself alone this month, I've got what do I have? I have 8 completions alone this month, one every day this week, and then the rest are kind of sprinkled throughout the month. But I'll clear over $100,000 in GCI this month. But I think that I'm only saying that because consistency is the biggest thing here. I mean, even though I'm having an incredible month with 8 completions and 100 grand in GCI, I'm still up every morning answering emails. I'm still up every morning answering text messages. I'm still prospecting my ass off. I'm still putting in those 12 to 14-hour days. And so even if you're having an incredible time, an incredible month, you have to make sure that it's not just a one-off thing and that momentum can be consistently recreated throughout the year.
Wow. Wow. So you never so you're just living for today, right?
What was
I
that,
mean,
sorry?
you're just living for today. You do your job correctly today, and tomorrow it's a new day. So you never how can
Yes,
I say?
yes,
Uh,
yes and no. There is a plan in place. Like I don't wake up every morning and not know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I dedicate the first hour of every single day is dedicated to prospecting. The first hour of and that's a non-negotiable, right? Every single day, the first hour of work is always prospecting. It's contacting leads, it's following up with buyers and sellers. And again, like I said, that's non-negotiable because in my mind, the first hour of your day sets the tone for the rest of the day. And so if I spend my first hour doing nothing but contacting clients, that's the tone that I've set for the rest of my day. And beyond that, I mean, everything between 9 and 12 is scheduled. There's nothing flimsy about my morning. Everything is dialed in. It's my afternoon that I've allowed time for the sporadic showings. You know what I mean? The buyer who says, "Hey, I'm in town right now. Can I get a showing the next 2 hours?" Or, "Hey, I'm swinging through town and I want to see this property." That my afternoon is more open for those scenarios, but my noon to 12 or my 9 to 12 is totally dialed in with prospecting and all of the other money-making activities that go along with real estate.
yeah, money making activities. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Just so you know, our audience are also realtors who are trying to get into the real estate market and they don't know how to do it, and they wish they could do well this number of transactions you're doing. So, what advice would you give to these new realtors so they can get into there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd say the biggest mistake that new realtors are making that are holding them back from achieving icon is not treating real estate like a business from day one. I think there's too many agents that get caught up in the thrill of that next sale, and they're focused on chasing commissions rather than building a sustainable business. And when you're thinking about your next deal, you're not setting yourself up for long-term success. And I mean, in my early days, I made sure to create systems for follow-up, lead generation, and marketing. It's those systems that allowed me to build a strong foundation and keep the momentum going. I think the agents who don't reach icon status are often the ones who rely too heavily on the one-off deals and never put the effort into actually scaling their business.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Very nice. Is there something else you would like to share to your audience, something they should know about you, Trevor?
Um, Not necessarily about me. If I had something to share with the audience, I think that the big takeaway here would be like that there are 3 habits that I think are absolutely essential that every
Okay.
agent should be able to hone in on. And this is my opinion anyways, but these are the 3 most essential habits that I think every new agent needs to really understand. One is consistency. We have to be consistent in everything, whether it's prospecting, follow-up, or content creation. It has to be consistent. Like I mentioned before, the first hour of every day is dedicated to prospecting, and that's consistent every day, no distractions, just pure focus on reaching out to clients and leads. It's not negotiable because, like I said, it does set the tone for the rest of the entire day. Habit number two, continuous learning. I think the market's constantly evolving, and as agents, we need to evolve with it. I'm always learning, whether it's through courses, mentorship, or from other top agents, to be honest with you. At eXp Realty, we're kind of spoiled with the access to some incredible training resources, and I take full advantage of that. Staying sharp is the key to staying ahead of the other agents. And and then habit number three. Habit number
Yeah.
three is your mindset. Mindset is everything. I know it sounds a little bit cliche, but if you don't believe you can achieve icon status, you're never going to get there. There's plenty of times when things didn't go my way, but my mindset is what kept pushing forward. Having a long-term vision of being resilient in the face of challenges is what's really crucial.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That is just perfect. So it was such a pleasure to have you here at Icons of Real Estate. You have a lot of experience. In these 5 years, you have more experience than, Realtor with 10 or 15 years on the market. So it was such a pleasure to have you here, Trevor.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. This was fantastic.
You're welcome. See you another time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye bye.